Which they haven't been playing.
In the sense that when
they haven't been playing.
Sadly to say, they did falter in 2007, 2008. But I would want to believe that since then, there has been a comeback and a recognition that they've got a God-given mandate who nobody should question in terms of trying to unite Kenyans. Because when you look at the Muslim faith, when you look at the Christian faith, they are all faiths that promote peace. And every Sunday, they have an audience of millions of Kenyans listening to their messages. Messages of hope, messages of peace, messages of tolerance. So they have a role to play. The government equally has a role to play. And we are grateful that we have the Constitution, because in that Constitution, issues of historical injustices that led us in the first place to the chaos that we saw in 2007, 2008, hopefully will be addressed in the new Constitution dispensation. We also have the teachers who have a role to play in trying to build a culture of peace in the schools with the students. All right? And I'm grateful that the Ministry of Education, whom we had gone with to Tana River, have developed a curriculum since 2007 that introduces the virtues of appreciating diversity, the virtues of changing your attitudes, your stereotypes, appreciating your neighbor. So that is ongoing. So in order for us to be able to build peace as a country, it will require more hands. It will require each one of us playing our strategic roles in order to make sure that Kenya moves away from the violence that we constantly see, especially during periods of elections, to where we can engage critically in dialogue to say, fine, you're entitled to whichever political party you want to choose. You're entitled to whatever leader you want to choose. I'm also entitled equally. And so in that sense then, we need not get violent about it. And for me, a critical thing is also the role of the leaders. If I'm a leader seeking for leadership, and we are saying we need leaders of integrity, I don't see how, as a leader, I can mobilize militia groups to intimidate my opponent and then seek to call for peace, where peace now becomes more of a rhetoric than really something that people value and see the need for us not to kill one another as Kenyans.
And you're looking ahead beyond these elections to the aftermath. When people have had these sort of set twos and fought each other, again, this slow process, what's going to happen after March the 4th, if indeed there are any tensions?
I'm aware that
in terms of a peace-building organization, what do you damage control? What mechanisms are you putting in place for what's going to happen in 2013 if
things go the wrong way?
Exactly.
I know there are a number of initiatives that are ongoing. We've got initiatives like the Wiyano platform. We've got initiatives like the Ushirika, the National Cohesion and Integration.
Could you explain beyond the name what they do and why they're doing it?
Most of these initiatives are initiatives that have been established to detect early warning signs should violence want to erupt, and then they are coded through the security system of the government to be able to say that in each constituency, in each county, for instance, if we see indicators that violence might erupt, you're quickly able to get onto the phone or send an SMS to our data center where they collect that information, get in touch with security, get in touch with what we call district peace committees within those areas, who then are able to intervene.
Mrs. Mpaayei, in the news that we've had about Tana River Delta, the sound bites that come from those regions say, we knew the baddies were coming, we knew they were coming in 10 minutes time, we phoned the police got here after my child had been killed.
Correct.
They always got there late.
Correct.
So the assurance is that it won't happen again, because that's what, if our viewers might wish to hear this time round, that the mechanisms are in place, because we have a history. So I would imagine that people who were weren't ready for a fight in 2007, 2008, are eminently ready for a fight this time round, because they can envisage that possibility. They're ready for it. So your job is quadrupled, quintupled, whatever the English might be.
Very true, CB there. And what then for me I would want to really ask is that the new Inspector General who's come on board, we've been having security sector reforms in this country in the past 5 years, because that was one of the agenda items that was highlighted in terms of bringing security into the country. Indeed, for me, Tana River has been a shame of the way that situation has been handled by our security forces. To date, 50 schools are still not opened as a result of insecurity in that region. So with the new Inspector General and all the things that are coming out now with regard to what we have seen within the security sector, like this person who was posing as a police within the forces, and yet he wasn't. So my hope is that they will begin to clean up the security forces, and that with the new Inspector General, they will give priority to what we call these hotspot areas, so that people can indeed begin to see a difference, that the government is serious about protecting its own citizens, even as we run up to the March elections. So in terms of us preparing for these elections, these various groups that have been established, the district peace committees, to look at the local level whether there are any indicators of violence. We've got peace ambassadors that have been also established to be able to be sent immediately where there's chaos, to be the voices of reason within any places where we would have hotspots, to speak and bring up Kenyans and unite them even during those times, like happened during the post-election violence. We did have a group of people who are able to quickly mobilize themselves and be the voice of reason in the media, in the dailies, in the radio stations, to just ask Kenyans to be peaceful and to be at calm while we resolved the political impasse that was there. So there are these different groups that are mobilizing and organizing themselves to be prepared in case there's any tensions or any violence. But our prayer is that it won't go that way.
So if I may put in one perhaps last question. Sudan, apart from Kenya, Sudan, your experience, Uganda, Sierra Leone, Rwanda, Burundi, Nigeria, Ghana, Somalia, Liberia, Europe, South America, Asia. Are there any role models for us? Are there countries where you can say to people, things were really, really bad, but look at the Liberian situation, look at the Sierra Leonean, from whom might we learn to do things better in this respect?
I think for me, Ghana is a good example. Given that they've gone through similar elections like we have, and even currently the presidential position is still disputed, but they have not gone the violent way. They've decided to use the rule of law. So I think there's a lot we can learn from there, but also to appreciate that we are a country that is in transition. In any country that is in transition, there's a lot of complexity. We are trying to go the democratic way when our cultures, our society, the institutions that we have in place are really not able to support the kind of democracy that we are looking for. So I think it calls for us acknowledging that indeed that we still need a lot of capacity, and that since we are a country in transition, we will need to be more tolerant and accept where we are at, and then move at a pace. But violence does not have to be an option.
A word to Wanjiku, a word to the man in the street as March the 4th approaches. You're building peace. What is the responsibility of the individual?
Every Kenyan citizen should be a peace builder. The way I conduct myself, the way I carry myself, the way I'm able to interact with issues for the betterment of both myself and my neighbor is key. So I would appeal to every mwananchi in Kenya to know that Kenya belongs to us. The leaders we put in place are the leaders who will either take us forward or take us backwards. So in our choices, we need to get leaders that are credible, leaders of integrity, and leaders that will unite us as Kenyans. And I appeal to all of us that dialogue is the key, not violence. And especially our young people, our youth. I know times are hard, times are very difficult for some of the youth, but we will overcome, we will get over this period. But violence is not an option.
Florence Mpaayei, thank you so very much.
Thank you too.